All right, guys, so in this segment, I'm going to be offering you some top tips on how to do your own research project based on some of the stuff that you see here in the rubric. So just keep in mind, first of all, that the primary skill that I want to have you develop is your ability to cross-reference and to use credible sources. The second thing I want you to be aware of is learning how to use your headings. These headings are intentional. So notice here it says heading 1. And then where it says the scientist, that is heading 2. This is not normal text that I made bigger. Okay, what I want you to do is start avoiding doing this to try to make your headings look right. Don't make your normal text larger. Rather, get into the habit of using what are called meta tags or helping the computer understand that this is an actual heading, your subheading for this section. There are 3 subheadings I want you to use. The first paragraph I want you to look into is into the scientist himself. So any insight that you can give us into who the person is and where he studied or what his autobiography or her biography may be so that we can understand the person. Then the middle section is going to be the science. And so that's where I want you to explain what this scientist discovered or what they found, or tell us some details about the experiment that they were involved in. And then finally, the part that's most interesting to me, I call the context. And the context piece is an opportunity for us to really think about this experiment in a historical context. And so what I want to encourage you to do with the third paragraph is to look back in history at about the time that this experiment was done and let me know what else was going on in the world. Thinking about putting the science in a historical context is what I'm going for. Which piece of the world you decide, if you want to do U.S. history, or let's say you are Colombian and you want to express what was going on in Colombia at that time that this white man was doing this science experiment, that would be awesome. And so I want to give you some freedom, but I do want you to look at a broader picture when you deliver this research project to me. Okay, next, in terms of the how to do the research itself. So let's say, for example, you are assigned Aristotle. So the first thing that I do is what I call the Accordion Method, where basically I'm going to build out a bunch of tabs of stuff that I haven't read. I'll go through each tab, find the stuff that I like, and then get rid of the tabs that aren't useful. So I'm going to try to show you a quick version of that right here. So when I start with a blank Google Doc, the first thing that I put in here would be, who is Aristotle, for example. All right, and then I would get something from Stanford. That's cool. Usually not the first to come up. What was he famous for? So I'll go through these as well and find, a few that I think are interesting. So I don't want his quotes. I want his life, work, and doctrines, right? Those kinds of things. Philosophy of life, maybe not. Who is Aristotle? That sounds interesting, right? So I'll just pick a few of these, and then the next one was the science itself. So what did Aristotle think or do about the story of the atom, right? So Aristotle, I'll change my question to maybe something like Aristotle and atomic theory. That's what this whole section is about. So all of you have a scientist who is in one way or the other involved in atomic theory. So keep that in mind. So again, I'll just pull, something that looks interesting and maybe something that I haven't pulled already. Early atomic, and then Aristotle is right here, you may notice. So I'll slap that one onto my tabs. And Aristotle is a proponent of the continuum. That looks good. So I just read little bits. The other thing that I do is I look, I think this is actually step number 4. So step number 1 was about making sure you're building your skill, cross-referencing your data, and using credible sources. Tip number 2 is about learning to use the headings and the meta tags. So don't make normal text bigger to make it a heading. Actually use the heading 1 drop-down menu. And then the third one that I talked about was the accordion method, and that's what we're looking at now, all of these tabs that I've just opened up. And then what we're going to do is copy, paste, and rewrite. So let's say that I've done enough tabs for now to make me comfortable. Then what I do is I go on in here and I just kind of start browsing around. This is the research part. So you're going to have to read these articles. Let's just check my time here. So I have 3.5 minutes left. So, you know, and if the article is super long like this one, then you might want to use the search button. So go Control F and maybe atom. It's one of my search terms, and that can help get me to these beings of basic. Socrates made up. Okay. Let's see, maybe Aristotle. Okay, this whole thing is about Aristotle. Great. There's 400 references to Aristotle. And let's see. Aristotle's legacy. I don't know. This one doesn't seem that good, so I'm dumping it, right? And so that's the process. You go through, you look, you see what you like. Now let's say, for example, and let me see if I can find something familiar that I might have pulled earlier. I don't think so. So I'm just, here we go. This was something that I used. Maybe not. Let's try one more step. I don't know what that is. There's something good in here, I'm sure. So after going through a few of these pages, right, here we go. This is great. He was born and he was 17 years old. So this tells me when Plato died, you know, he taught a 13-year-old boy, right? Okay, cool. So I like this paragraph. I will copy this, and then I would go back to my original document and I would put in here, I would just paste it. Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I copy the article that I think I like. I'll go down here and I'll just paste it. And I will go back and pull its website too. Copy that, drop that in, paste. So I'll do this a couple times, right, for a few different articles that I might like on this issue. But I actually have to read it. That's the thing. You can't just go in here and just pull some random paragraphs and expect your thing to make sense. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Meaning and purpose of logic. Here's philosophy, abbreviations. It's really hard to find stuff on like his theories of natural science, mainly because he was dead wrong and probably because he also was a spy for the Alexander the Great, which is what led to the fall of the Egyptians. But hey, who's listening to me? I'm just going to call this paragraph also very interesting. I can use this maybe to help me with my introduction. So I'll paste that and then I'll go back and get the website. Copy that, paste that. And then what I do is I take all of this stuff that I just copied and pasted. I'll kind of read these three pieces and then I'll start writing something on my own, right? So then I'll take all my little quotables and then I'll start. Aristotle was born in, boom. And that's when I'll start doing my writing, right? So I will take this stuff. These are all direct quotes. But then what I'll do is take these ideas and write them in my own words. So that way I don't get into any problem with plagiarism. And at the same time, as I go through the sentences here that I like and I've rewritten, then I can start to delete stuff. And so this one, I pretty much got everything I wanted out of that, you know, and then this one talks about his father. So then I go in and talk about his father a little bit. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm going for here. So this is the section, step number 4 that I call copy, paste, and rewrite. And then step number 5, is really just a matter of advice. So my advice to you guys is this: use credible sources. I'll unpack that later. I might not even talk about number 5. So thank you for your time. What I will say is hopefully this was of some value to you. And before I sign off, nope, my time is up. So I'm going to let it go. All right, bye guys.